week, the Santa Fe Opera joined the list of summer festivals, fairs, and events that have called off their 2020 editions. New Mexico's tourism industry is being hammered by this pandemic, even as some hotels and resorts start to slowly reopen ahead of the Memorial Day weekend. Ed, you've been around here long enough to know that for parts of New Mexico, this is a very big deal. Any given thing like the opera employs and helps employ thousands of people. You get the sense that anyone's going to want to travel to New Mexico this summer. This could be problematic.
We so rely on our tourism industry, just the revenue and tax dollars that it makes for the state. It's so important to us. And New Mexico is such a beautiful state. I can see why many would want to come and visit. But yes, we are at a point in our history here in New Mexico where maybe we need to think twice about how we're promoting New Mexico. The question might be for some is until we have this vaccine and this cure with COVID-19. Do we want a lot of people coming into this state? Could that potentially have an impact on this COVID virus that we're dealing with here? On the other hand, where do we make up the revenue? And maybe that's where some of our leadership needs to start thinking is outside that proverbial box. Tourism was great in the past, 84% decrease. 19 over the current revenue data for 2020 with tourism. And it may not come back for some time. We might want to be very careful that we don't force the issue, but rather that we, again, start to come up with other innovative ways in which to make up that revenue. And I know it's difficult, but we need to balance our economics with public health. Yeah. I know there was a story came out with regard to Elephant Butte. It's one of the most widely visited state parks in the state. And there's a cry out there that we really need to open up Elephant Butte, that it has a large enough space to allow for social distancing. And right now it's an issue that hasn't been decided, very clearly as far as what the future is for opening a park like Elephant Butte. We're approaching that time of year.
It's our version of the beach. Exactly.
That's right. That's Memorial Day, one of the biggest days of the year for Elephant Butte. So I think we really need to take a look at our tourism, what it means, and how we replace those dollars, and whether we really want to keep the same focus in the time being on our tourism industry.
Let me jump Tom in here real quick. There's an obvious question. Tom, your association with Balloon Fiesta is well known, certainly for our audience. I can't even imagine the conversations the Balloon Fiesta folks might be having right now. If you're talking tourists coming from all over the world to this one spot in New Mexico, that's a very difficult position. What's your sense of it thus far?
Well, Balloon Fiesta is the most prominent event in the state. It is an international event. We had representatives from 17 countries fly balloons, and there's a lot of the visitor industry is very reliant upon the $156 million of economic impact. The event right now is moving forward to take place in some form or fashion. Fortunately, if there is a fortunate with all of this, we're still looking at 4 or 5 months out in the future. And right now, everybody's just focused on the next month and a half. There are a lot of different discussions. Everybody seems to be weighing in to try and determine what Fiesta's future is. But the Balloon Fiesta's 24-member volunteer board is really good at, coming up with creative ways to either launch or creative and safe ways to land. So, everybody's working forward to a Balloon Fiesta in some form or fashion. The tourism industry as a whole, I think right now really needs to be focusing on a regional drive market because that's really the only thing that is really viable at this particular point in time. Right. Abandon the, really marketing folks to come visit New Mexico by way of air travel. And as soon as Ed mentioned, as soon as we have a vaccine, we'll be able to see, that new normal can start to take place and visitation and tourism will re-engage.
Sophie, let me touch on what Tom just mentioned, that drive-in market. There's no question. We all understand we're a playground for Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, California, Nevada, all those drive-in markets that Tom just mentioned. But if we're insisting on wearing, here's my question. If we're insisting on wearing masks here, how do we insist to people who are visiting here for vacation that come from places that are not that mask friendly, say Texas, that as soon as you land here, you're going to have to wear a mask. Is that even possible?
Listen, right now it's more than that, because right now we have a 14-day quarantine for people who fly in from other states. And so that's a really significant barrier, at least for flights. And the governor has said that they're going to continue and they're going to expand testing on routes heading in for drivers as well. So that 14-day quarantine is a big thing. I'm sort of picking up on something that Tom was talking about, though, is that there is a sort of field of dreams thing that is, well, let me say this first. I'll say field of dreams, I'll go back to Tom. There's this field of dreams thing that's happening, I think, across the country, which is essentially, if we open it, they will come. And we know from nationwide polling, there's a weekly poll that's happening through the Harris poll, that folks are really looking to, when the pandemic ends, what will I be willing to do? Will I be willing to go to restaurants, and how long will it take before I'm willing to do that, stay in a hotel room, get on an airplane, et cetera? And right now, people are very, very cautious. People are saying, like, I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait even after sort of whatever the pandemic end is. But the other thing that I think is worth noting is that many people in the tourism industry are comparing this time period to the period right after September 11th, 2001, right, when tourism, of course, took a huge hit. This is a much more extended period of time that we're dealing with. But what we did discover, what tourism did discover during that period, was that people were willing to drive. And so that that willingness to drive, to stay in campgrounds, to use your camper, things like that. New Mexico has so many great outdoor opportunities, so many beautiful landscapes, et cetera. My expectation is that that's what's sort of going to kick things off for the state, is that experience of being in the great wide open, that New Mexico, we offer so many beautiful places to do that.
It's a dilemma. We see the lodger's tax dropping like a stone. We see the revenues for the Sunport just announced yesterday that it's a huge difficulty that way too. It's a hard situation. I have to wrap this up there, guys. Thanks again to you three. Really appreciate it. Great show today, and for connecting and weighing in during these weird, wild times. And be safe till I see you next week.